Quran study. Today we'll be reading from Surah 26, 145. Let's all seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I do not ask you for any wage. Zoom in a little bit more so for y'all. I do not ask you for any wage. My wage comes only from the Lord of the universe. Do you suppose you will be left forever secure in this state? You enjoy gardens and springs and crops and date palms with delicious fruits. You carve out of the mountains luxurious mansions. You shall reverence God and obey me. So we can see, this is a continuation from the last study. That the verses that were read by Brother Suleiman, and how they're talking, talking about the prophets and the messengers that went to their people, warning them, warning their people. And it's always been consistent because these prophets, the prophets and messengers never ask for any money. They don't ask for wealth or anything, or they don't even ask for prestige or anything. They realize that God possesses all provision. So whatever what they're doing, is anything that they do is in the cause of God. And so whatever God's wages are the best. Of course you have stuff in this world like He provides for us, and also in the hereafter. So this is letting these people know that He's not. There's no there's no bias on His part. There's no inclination towards getting money from them or trying to take over their people. I mean, we see the example with Pharaoh, how he lied about Moses and the magicians and tried to say that they were gonna overthrow his ruling, but that's not the case, and Pharaoh knew that. So this is why it's very important for us. This is we see this through the Quran, because there's false messengers and these false prophets and false imams and false apostles. They call themselves these things like apostles. It's ridiculous, and they ask for all type of money from the people, and it just bears witness. And they're just bearing witness to themselves and the people, that they disbelieve that God possesses everything in the heavens and the earth. And so moving on, we can see that they asked these people, do you suppose you'll be left and forever secure in this state? So these people live as if they'll never die, right? The way they act, the stuff they do, the consequences, or they disbelieve in the consequences, because if they did realize there's a cause and effect and there's a consequence for everything that they do, then they would actually take heed and listen to the messenger. But we know, this is all just temporary enjoyment for them, and they're also, these are blessings from God, as God tells us he'll provide for those who believe, but also the disbelievers, temporarily in this life. But on the day of judgment, there's not going to be any provision. So these nice gardens and springs and fruits and even these mountains, you can think maybe as a resource, because they can provide some type of shelter for these people, and they carve these really luxurious living quarters and exorbitant things to live out of. But they fail to listen to the messenger, and so the retribution is inevitable for these people. And this is a rhetorical question, right here, because they do act, or they might think that they probably the way they're acting, they think that they're going to live forever, as we can see with their the way and how they've challenged the messengers and the prophets. You know, 151. Do not obey the transgressors who commit evil, not good works. They said, you are bewitched. You are you are no more than a human like us. Produce a miracle if you are truthful. So yeah, you can see their arrogance. They're challenging. They're challenging this messenger to produce some type of miracle. And I mean, even God will give these people miracles, and then they disbelieve in them, and they call them all kind of names. So you have to. This is it's very these messengers and prophets. Were very tough people to be to go to these people, to these communities that outnumbered them on the surface or in the physical. Yeah, there may be more people, but I mean, when you have there's angels and stuff around, it's like who's really weaker in power and number. I mean, so that's reassuring. He said, "Here's a camel that will drink only on a day that is assigned to her, a day that is different from your specified days of drinking. Do not touch her with any harm, lest you incur retribution on an awesome day." They slaughtered her and thus incurred sorrow. The retribution overwhelmed them. This should be a lesson, but most people are not believers. So this same example, I believe, with the camel is talked about, I think, in Surah 91, the sun. So this is Saleh, as we can see from the previous verse. Saleh is also mentioned in Surah the sun. And so, we can see that, God sends, remember, the messenger talking at the time, for each generation they have specific miracles, so at the time of Pharaoh, magic was a big deal. At the time of Muhammad, literary excellence and writing and all of that was a big deal. So, the people of Saleh, Saleh, the camel back in the day was a big deal. I think they used a lot of camels and stuff, so it was they were very familiar with this type of stuff. So when they saw this amazing miracle about how a camel, will drink on a specific day that is normal, that is different from its normal drinking day. So in the past, this camel, along with probably all the other camels, drank on this, specific day. Which these people were accustomed to. I mean, it was just the way how things were, and then here he is telling her, I mean, what this camel will do this time of day, and it'll drink, and he's also warning them not to test God, not to abuse the camel or anything. But of course we can see as they ask for them, even if they get the miracle, they try to negate it somehow, or they just are totally heedless. So they had the retribution coming to them, and as we are taught, these are good lessons for people. But as the Quran tells us, it says most people are not believers. So they have the proof in front of them, right? Just like these people did, and they don't act on it. They don't really give it thought, or they're not reverent enough or they're too arrogant as well. The people of Lot disbelieved the messengers. Their brother Lot said to them, "Would you not be righteous? I am an honest messenger to you. You shall reverence God and obey me. I do not ask you for any wage. My wage comes only from the Lord of the universe. Do you have sex with the males of all the people? You forsake the wives that your Lord has created for you. Indeed, you are transgressing people." Yeah, so we can see the people of Lot were wicked homosexuals. And Lot is asking them, would you not be righteous? So God and they know, that's the right way. A male and a female. That's natural, and that's. I mean, you can't. You can only reproduce that way too. I mean, it's utterly illogical for people. You got these buffoons today, and since we're in the month of June, I mean, maybe I shouldn't even mention the month of June, because it doesn't really matter, because these months belong to God. So they don't. Excuse me. They don't belong to any group of people or factions. So when people try to claim, like in today's generation, the homosexuals, and these gay right activists and stuff, they're promoting their point of view very hard. And I mean, as we can see, just as we mentioned earlier, that these are lessons for people, So I mean, going back in the 70s and 80s, and the messenger talked about, they as we see today in this month, they try to claim it and push their point of view on people. They're committing the same atrocities, at the time of the people of Lot, and now they're being selectively annihilated, and in some ways even worse, because it's and through the disease AIDS, because that selectively targets these people for their crimes. And in some ways, it's you don't always die immediately from this terrible virus. You have to live with it, and you suffer all type of other diseases because of it. You may not die immediately. You may have to live on for a number of years, living horribly, and there's all kind of just terrible things that come with it, So but these people don't ever never once, take heed and ask themselves, or think about the consequences or any of that, So, it's relevant. I'm bringing that up because it's relevant to our generations, and especially the future generations that are going to come before the end of the world, because this thing is becoming more prevalent, So we have to be the type of people and community that doesn't advocate for this stuff, and that we do our best to speak the truth, and if we can, we can try to talk the people out of it. But I mean, if they're arrogantly transgressing, I mean, as the people of Lot did, then God will eventually take care of them one way or another. So they said they're threatening Lot. So 167, they said, unless you refrain, O Lot, you will be banished. He said, I deplore your actions. My Lord, save me from my family and their works. We saved him and all his family. So, these people, they were, not only were they committing, all types of evil and wickedness, but they were also basically threatening Lot to evict him from his home. And he said, I deplore your actions. Because, I mean, this is deplorable stuff. God created the universe, as intended wives, for these people, but they forsake that. They forsake this blessing, and in lieu of what Satan has invited them, to do, and but not the old woman. She was doomed. So this is Lot's wife. We then destroyed the others. We showered them with a miserable shower, what a terrible shower for those who had been warned. This should be a lesson, but most people are not believers. Most assuredly, your Lord is the Almighty, most merciful. So, we can see here that, not even Lot can't even, save. I mean, I'm not saying he wanted to save his wife, but, there's no intercession. It doesn't matter really who you are. Whether you're a prophet or messenger or this person or that person, intercession belongs to God alone. So, Lot, even if he wanted to, and I'm not saying he did, but we can see from these examples, like the Quran talks about, how Noah's wife and Lot's wife were dismissed, and they ended up in hell. I don't remember what certain verse, and right after that, God goes to give the example of Pharaoh's wife, who was a believer. So that shows us that you could be, you could be like the next of kin to someone who's very righteous, right? You could be their descendant or anything like that, but it doesn't protect you, right, from God's retribution if somehow you've done something to deserve it. Shuaib, the people of the woods disbelieved the messengers. Shuaib said to them, "Would you not be righteous? I am an honest messenger to you. You shall reverence God and obey me. I do not ask you for any wage. My wage comes only from the Lord of the universe." So we can see here again that the true prophet and messenger, this is a criterion that distinguishes them, as well as the other two. But they don't ask for money, from the people. And if anything, this also should tell the people, like, wow, this guy he has nothing to gain. Like, why is he's not asking for money, so he has no, like, self-interest in whatever he's invited me to do. So let me, maybe listen to him, because let's say someone comes to you and asking for money, that you have to listen to this message or believe what they believe, most people are gonna, raise an eyebrow and probably distrust that person, because you have a factor like money being involved, and that inevitably can alter people's said person's judgment and over time and stuff. So and I mean, he's inviting them to God to be forgiven. So I mean, what better words can you utter other than this? It's not like he's inviting them to, and I'm sure, they tell, about the hereafter, and they tell about, like, the nice rewards and stuff and paradise that's reserved for the righteous. And of course, we don't, that's not why we're doing or believing. We believe because we love God, and we love his awesomeness and his greatness and his incomprehensible awesomeness. But it's like if somebody came to you with a like a blueprint on how to live a happy life and devote yourself to your Creator. I mean, you have to be really bad to turn that away, and especially they're not asking for any money. So because that's mentioned a few times, and it's important because people. There's so many people today that ask for money. They ask their congregations for money. They pass around like this little basket, like a little straw basket. So sometimes it depends. They just pass it around every church service and stuff, and people, and it's like if they don't trust in God, that God would provide for them, and of course they're not going to be. They're preaching Satan's messages, so they don't deserve to have any money from any people, even if they decided to, people wanted to donate or something. Verse 181: You shall give full measure when you trade; do not cheat. You shall weigh with an equitable scale. Do not cheat the people out of their rights, and do not roam the earth corruptingly. It's so important, to be honest and to have integrity. And so this is also, something that when I think about, to think about in a way, like, let's say, or like how I've thought about in the past, so if you're, because it's not just, because the times we live in today, we harvest paychecks, and so, we're not trading like apples for oranges, right? Or barley or something, corn or for lettuce or something. So, we don't necessarily have scales today. I mean, unless you go to like certain grocery or markets or something, or like fruit stores or something. But I mean, like, for all intents and purposes, we harvest paychecks, and so like if you're billing, let's say, for a certain amount of hours, and your company is paying you for X, Y, Z hours, you have to fulfill that, you know. So if you, this is for people like anybody and everybody to think today. So if you clock out of work early, you know, or if you're self-employed or something and you put more hours, I mean, like this is stuff that I've thought about before, and you have to really make an effort to not give Satan anything. Now, of course, if we make mistakes and stuff, and then but we have to have good intentions. You know, we know that God is watching us, and so because I mean, personally, this is I've seen this happen, like with the industry I'm in. You know, there's people that like with billing and stuff, and so this is, you know, when it started occurring to me that it's not just, you know, it's not just it's weighing, in a sense, like it's not just apples for oranges. It's much more important to that, important for that, you know. And so even if you work for a seemingly global company that does a lot of let's say, I'm not saying I work for one of those type of companies, but like people tend to go after these Fortune 500 companies, like, oh, well, no, they're so evil, they deserve to get taken money from. I'm only going to work 6 hours and charge them 8 hours. Well, that's still not right, because you still have to be completely righteous no matter what, when dealing with the people, you know, because it sets the best example. If your coworker who's maybe wants to be a submitter or something, he sees, like, oh man, this guy or girl is like doing right, then it helps all situations, you know. So moving on, reverence the one who created you and the previous generations. They said, you are bewitched. You are no more than a human being like us. In fact, we think you are a liar. So let masses from the sky fall on us if you are truthful. So we can see how arrogant they are. They're literally asking for retribution, and I mean, they had to have disbelieved in it, because I don't think if they really believed in it, I think they would be like have suicidal or psychotic to ask for something like this. But it just shows that they didn't believe in it, and they were so arrogant to the point that they challenged it. You know, so it would be better for these people, you know, even if you are doubtful or something, you know, don't be so cocky and challenge God. You know, at least maybe say, oh no, I'm going to disbelieve, but, you know, I'm just not going to, just in case, like, I could be wrong, I'm not going to ask for this. But they don't even do that, you know, which, I mean, both are bad, right? But this just shows how bad, you know, these humans are. He said, my Lord is the one who knows everything you do. They disbelieved in him, and consequently they incurred the retribution of the day of the canopy. It was the retribution of an awesome day. This should be a lesson, but most people are not believers. So, as we mentioned earlier, he's warning, you know, these people are doing all types of immoral things and bad things, and God is still giving them a chance, you know. He's the most gracious, most merciful, as we read, and, you know, it mentioned in the previous page in 2 verses. He's most gracious, most merciful. So, you know, he gives people a chance to turn away from their bad ways and to accept what is being taught to them. You know, so this should be a lesson, but most people are not believers. So, we see this in, like, I think towards the end of Surah 12, Joseph, and this Surah, we see this a lot, you know, like, most people are not believers, and this is also mentioned in the previous scriptures too, how it says most, from, you know, the prophets, like, you know, Jesus, in the gospel, and I mean, even some of the other books, it, you know, it talks about how many more people will be lost and saved, and it should be alarming for people, you know, if people are really reverent, if these huge communities that are practicing or following these false religions today. I mean, as it's practiced today, like, traditional or modern day Islam, modern day Christianity and stuff, they should really turn reverent and ask themselves, like, what if I'm part of that? What if this is referring to me? But as we can see, it either frightens them too much to want to face this reality, or they feel comfortable in their large numbers because everybody else is believing this, and so I'm okay. And that's probably maybe that happened to a degree with these people, because they, as it was said earlier, they lived as if they thought no one could annihilate them. They lived as if they thought they would last forever in these big, probably powerful, structural, like, powerful type mansions and stuff, that they thought couldn't crumble or nothing could take them out. But we see that that's not the case. Most assuredly, your Lord is the Almighty, most merciful. 192, the Quran. This is a revelation from the Lord of the universe. The honest spirit, Gabriel, came down with it to reveal it into your heart, that you may be one of the warners, in a perfect Arabic tongue. So the Quran, on the night of destiny, it was given to Muhammad. It was put in his heart, and that he may be one of the warners for his generation, and as well as, like, how things would play out. And we get a we did, after the Quran, the true Quran. The true Quran is always with God, as it said, the master record. But for this world, until the renewal of the truth and the message with the messenger of the covenant, there was just, all this, like, mishmash of distortions and stuff, and hadiths and all of that. So, it's really a huge blessing. It has been prophesied in the books of the previous generations, and it has in the old scriptures. People are still trying to figure out who the messenger of the covenant is today. We have that Malachi. We also have in Deuteronomy how it's been talked about Muhammad. Maybe in Deuteronomy, but it's in the New Gospel too. Jesus himself said, and they're all waiting. It's the same mistake committed by the previous generations. But Jesus, he said, someone will come, a prophet after me will come that is even greater than I. Like, in a sense, there's more I think Muslims today than ever before. Many more Muslims than Christians. And not that that's like some type of statistic to brag about, but because it's most of what they're following, most of these people are just idol worshippers. But it has been prophesied, and Moses also talked about. Moses talked about, I think maybe this was in Deuteronomy, from the old scriptures, about how God will send a prophet who will, God will put his words into this prophet's mouth, and he'll speak. And so this stuff, so these, when it does come, when these prophets and these scriptures and revelations do come, these people reject it, so, not everybody, but, like we can see the majority of people, like as we saw earlier, most people are not believers. So when the truth comes to them, they somehow they don't believe in it, or they're still gonna wait, and they'll wait until they die or until the end of the world for their quote unquote prophet, or the coming back of the Messiah and all this stuff. And they're all just following the majority. They're all just following each other's nonsense. There's no proof for what they have either, and they disregard their own scripture. As the Quran has talked about, the people of the previous scriptures reject, or confound or conflate the previous scriptures. And they disbelieve in the new ones too, most of them. Is it not a sufficient sign for them that it was known to the scholars among the children of Israel? So this If I remember correctly, I think this yeah, this is the scholars of the time, and I mean even the scholars today, these people, they know that this stuff has been prophesied and talked about, as I mentioned earlier, and they know this stuff, and yet they don't talk about it. I mean, it's really, I mean, even the Catholic Church is really wicked what they do, because they know this stuff is I mean, some people do in the Vatican, but just it's the same reason why they've kept the letters from Peter to Paul, which have been verified authentically. They have locked this stuff up, but I mean, it is, God sees that this stuff makes a way out. But Peter viciously attacked Paul, Paul, the great deceiver of the New Testament, and also his followers and stuff. They're not really sure. Sorry, I had a fly. They're not really sure, like, if it was all Paul's writings, but that's not the point. The point is that Paul never knew Jesus. Peter said this. Peter and the other apostles did not like Paul. They even threatened to come deal with it in some type of way. But all this stuff. If this was made, if some of this information and in these letters, and there's other non-canonical scriptures, if this stuff made it out, then it would literally refute like so much nonsense you would see, and I mean, it would completely collapse the whole modern day Pauline version of Christianity. It would collapse the entire structure, and I mean, this stuff does still make it out between the cracks, like people have talked about it and stuff. But I mean, even if you show the proof to these people, they get really scared that they've been lied to, and like, oh my gosh, this is Paul, like, well, no, or this is Peter, who attacks Paul in these letters, and who attacks in a sense like righteously, like he disowns him, and proves that Paul's a proven liar and stuff. But so I mean, the stuff has been, but it's all, I guess it's all for a purpose, because like we have in the Quran in multiple places, God, if God willed and his angels, they could have stopped this stuff from happening, stopped the enemies of every prophet and messengers from, or stop the devil from disturbing in their wishes, So yeah, so that's also something we can think about, why some of this stuff happens the way it does. The Quran must be translated. If we revealed this to people who do not know Arabic and had them recited in Arabic, they could not possibly believe in it. We thus render it like a foreign language in the hearts of the guilty. Thus, they cannot believe in it, not until they've seen the painful retribution. It will come to them suddenly when they least expect it. Then they will then say, "Can we have a respite?" Did they not challenge our retribution? As you see, we allowed them to enjoy for years. Then the retribution came to them just as promised. Their vast resources did not help them in the least. So, just backing up the Quran, this is, I mean, thank God, alhamdulillah, So, I mean, imagine, like, for people who don't know Arabic, or even if they tried to learn Arabic, they probably could never even learn, 5% of what they need to know, just because of, as you get older, it's harder to learn a foreign language. So, I mean, they could not possibly believe in it, because how could you believe in something, if I'm reading some, like, hieroglyphics on a Egyptian pyramid or something, there's no way on earth I could ever figure out what they're talking about or believe or understand what is being said. So, we have, thank God, for the sending of the messenger of the covenant to give us the 19th translation, and that's just how it worked out. It wasn't planned that way, but it's also the only authorized translation. And we also, we also have this this verse right here about So someone who maybe knows Arabic or is native is or like a native speaking Arabic or from Saudi Arabia or something, and they know the Quran so well they could speak it real nicely and stuff and sound real nice and uh, pleasant to listen to or something, and but it's rendered and it's rendered like it's rendered like a foreign language in the hearts of the guilty. So here they are, speaking this stuff, but it's really uh, on a deeper, more truthful level. They're not understanding it, any of it, like in their hearts or their minds. So it's the same thing as like, it's you speaking a foreign language and you have no idea what is even being said. So it's like the verse that says they're deaf, dumb, and blind. Thus they cannot believe in it nor until they see the painful retribution. So you can see, yeah, these this is their vast resources did not help them. We never annihilate any community without sending warners. Therefore, this is a reminder for we are never unjust. So this is the retribution came to them just as promised, and so same thing with the day of judgment. It's also it's referred to, I think, in the Quran. I've heard like read or two. It's called like the promised day. So this day is most assuredly coming. So people's vast resources and their money can't help them from when that time comes. Only worshiping God alone and the righteous works that last, as God tells us in the Quran, they last forever. So that's what that's the best thing to if people want to stockpile anything, it's stockpiling that, and to help to grow your soul and to be close to God and seek His mercy and forgiveness, because that's way better than anything on this world. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and if there's any comments and questions, please feel free.
Inshallah, thank you.
Mashallah, brother. Very good.
So, yeah, I think so. Around verse 155, when it says, "Here's a camel that will drink only on a day that is assigned to her, a day that is different from your specified days of drinking," right? So that I I think that means that um, they had their own days of drinking for themselves, and the camel's days were just opposite of the days of drinking of these humans, or does that mean that they had specified days for camels to drink, um, and this camel didn't drink on those days but drank on the other days? Because I thought from it when it says your specified days of drinking, it seems like it's talking about the days that these humans drank, right? Or no? Yeah. Hmm. So, yes, yeah. So I think what Jaffer is saying is different than that, right? I think, and I thought the same as Jaffer the a camel wouldn't know what day of the week it is, right? But this camel, I thought that this camel was special because it knew the day that it was, and it knew it was his day to drink, right? So yeah, because you can't train an animal to know what the week is. Yeah, right. Mhm. So, no problem. Right, right. Yeah, I mean, like you can pick the most intelligent dog in the world, but how can you train a dog to know like what day of the week it is? You know, and this camel could tell. Basically, that was the whole idea behind it, I believe. Inshallah.
So, yeah, so that was the miracle, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
that special camel,
Mm-hmm.
so she understood, she knows the day, what days she has to drink, like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a funny, just how the people, I think my understanding is the disbeliever, they don't, even though God show them some miracle, but they don't recognize, they don't understand, or they don't recognize the miracle because of their disease in their heart. So they always fail to recognize the miracle. So that's why God give them the miracle to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And the messenger, he's the messenger from God.
Mm-hmm.
So but so funny, then they slaughtered her. How the stupid people always, people are always stupid most of the time. So
Mm-hmm.
mm,
Yeah, and it says, in uh, verse 154, produce a miracle if you're truthful. So they wanted him to show a miracle of their choice,
mhm,
the one that God gave him,
yeah,
which would have been incredible for them at the time to understand, but
mhm,
obviously, I mean, God could give him something even fancier, right? But the thing is, it's just supposed to be a test for these people also,
mhm,
at the same time, but it is enough to make them realize that, okay, this is not something that a human being can do.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So does this verse is about something like this, or is it about things you already have made agreements on? Like I agreed on using these materials, but I really use a different one, maybe cheaper materials. Right, right. So yeah, I think when it comes to different customers, right? I mean, like it's one thing. Let's say I'm working with one party, and one day I gave them something really cheap, and I lost money, and so the next day I try to make it up with with them, like giving them a little something else, but more pricey to recover for that, right? I mean, that to me would be fair because you're talking to about the same person, right? So if you're doing multiple projects for the same person or for the same group, and it happens, like you said, you overcharge maybe another time for a project to recover, that would be fair. But yeah, but if it's not the same person, then then it's not equitable because well, I mean, it's not the best, I would say, because you're recovering it from someone else, like the other person. Yeah, yeah, but I mean, like if he's saying that, he knows that if he's saying that I charged them more than I should have, then maybe that's not the most fair thing to do. So maybe next time just maybe try to make your calculations as close as possible to what it needs to be. Maybe put it in a some kind of a, maybe ask ChatGPT to help you with maybe like creating some sort of formulas or things to help you estimate better, you know. Hmm. Sorry, what was that? Hmm. So I don't know. Maybe their prices fluctuate because of the things they need to buy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's possible. I mean, um, yeah. I also wanted to comment on, the verses about people of Lot. I mean, it's hard not to notice, when you're living in LA. And this is the month that they've dedicated to homosexuality. And it's like they're not. I mean, God says that a community that tolerates homosexuality may be hit by an earthquake. And but we're living in a time where people are not just tolerating. I mean, they're welcoming it. Like they're encouraging it. And like I mean, you just like, I was going through the street, driving through one of the streets the other day, and I saw, there for the city of Venice, for example, like there's a sign. They have these lights, right? I don't know, John, if you've seen. Uh, they have these white lights that it says Venice, really beautiful. And for this month, like the city, they changed it. So instead of using white lights, now every light had a different color. I think it was like Venice, Venice. Is it 7 letters? I don't know. I see. No, it's 6 letters, but yeah, it's six. Yeah, six different colors. And just kind of, you know. Hmm. Hmm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right. Uh-huh. No, you can. Hmm. That's good. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mhm. So I also had a question about the day of the canopy in verse 189, right? So how do you guys understand this? What happened with the people? Shuaib was they were annihilated by. So Shuaib said, yeah, they were annihilated by the earthquake. So the I believe it's called the day of the canopy.